G'day and welcome to another edition of the Aussie Ideas Man. This is going to follow the same format as I usually do, where I watch a video and I tell you why the cretin doesn't understand what he's doing and deceives you. Well, he understands what he's doing, he just doesn't understand how to do a good job of reviewing anything. This time it's because the SEC filing has come out, and so I'll tell you where he went wrong. The format will be the same. I'll watch, I'll stop and interject wherever I think I need to say anything of little value, and then I'll play it back and take out all the pregnant pauses that I make. I'll then think of anything that I probably should have said at the time and put that down in a little blow up text box or something like that. So let's look at this thing and see what comes of it.
Hello, everyone. It's Steve with APTERA Owners Club. On September 26, 2024, APTERA released their half-yearly report for the period ending June 30th, 2024. And I wanted to kind of go over it with you guys. Most of the stuff in here is stuff that we've all seen before about the usual risks and uncertainties of having a startup that they talk about. But the two things I always want to look at when they put out one of these annual or semi-annual reports is, one, how much cash do they have on hand? Because cash is the lifeblood of any startup, and startups burn cash, and once they run out of cash, they are in trouble. And two, what is their cash? What is their burn rate? Like how much cash are they burning through on a monthly basis? So how much runway do they have? Because startups like APTERA are generating zero revenue. They're not selling any product. They're not bringing any money in. The only money they're bringing in is through investments, and they are burning through that cash to pay their employees, to pay their rent, to pay their utilities and things like that, pay their debts, and then they're using that cash to get towards producing a product. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in that if you have more cash, you can progress faster because you can burn more cash, hire more engineers, buy more product, do more things. But then the more that you do that, the faster you burn your cash and you'll run out of money. But if you don't show progress, then investment will slow down, and then you'll run out of cash because you don't bring in enough investment, because investors do not see the progress that they would like to see towards getting a saleable product.
I think after another 5 years stint at trying to bring out a silly trike, we're safely in the realm of investors have decided it's not a very viable product. It has gone way too slowly.
So I think they have to thread this needle and try to be as cash efficient as possible while producing progress enough that they can still attract investors. Now, currently, they've closed to crowdfunding, and their only source of investment is this $60 million convertible note offering with US Capital Group, which they talk about in this thing. Okay, so these are the things that are the most interesting to me when we look at this. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down to the part where they talk about their finances. So here it is. This is how much cash they had on hand at the end of on June 30th, 2024. So they had $18 million. So this is in thousands of dollars. So this is $18 million cash on hand, which is a good amount. And then at the end of December 31st, 2023, so the 6 months before that, they had 17 million. So they have brought in more. So they have more cash now than they did 6 months ago, which is a healthy sign, which means that they're not burning through their cash reserves faster than they're able to replenish them with new investment. Then the other thing that we want to look at is what are their expenses. So this is the 6 months ending June 30th of 24 compared to the 6 months ending June 30th, 2023, so a year before. And what you can see is their burn rate is significantly less now than it was a year ago. So if you look at how much they spent on research and development in the past 6 months, the first half of 2024, they spent $8 million. In the first half of 2023, they spent like $19 million. and then that's general. That's general and administrative costs. So I'm guessing this is like their how much they're paying their marketing staff and their administrative staff, things like that, their CEOs, that kind of stuff. And then research and development, this is what they're paying, I'm guessing, their engineering staff and how much they're spending on actual tooling and supplies. So in the first half of 2023, they spent $11 million. In the first half of 2024, they spent $5 million. That's both a good and a bad thing.
What I think he's up to is what I've always referred to as lies, damn lies, and statistics. And the reason why I say this is at the beginning he skips over the revenues line, which is a blank and a blank for each period. Now, I would think that if they've been taking in money from crowdfunding and from USCG, that there should be something in this line. It's very suspicious that they say either one of two things, I don't know. They say either there's been no revenue both times, or that they don't want to tell us what the revenue has been both times. The blank could be either one. None, or we don't want you to know. Either way, it's got to be a lie. First one's a lie, second one's a big deception. In either case, he then goes and turns around and says that there's been 13 million as opposed to 30 million, which is a $17 million difference, which he puts down as being a big improvement. But the thing goes a lot further when it comes to expenses, the loss, and all those other things itemised, which ends up at 68.5 million as opposed to 65, almost 66 million. So you're looking at just over $2.5 million worse, not $17 million better, but $2.5 million worse. And I think those things must factor into what he ends up saying is a good sign. It looks like a really bad sign to me. One, they start by either lying or deceiving by leaving out revenue, and two, by actually being $2.5 million worse off in the time and only making $1 million more as he compares it to the last graph. Lies, damn lies, and statistics. I think I'll have to leave a lot of this to my text box writings rather than you hear me speak in my strange Aussie accent. Let's keep going.
The good thing is they're more cash efficient. The bad thing is they're spending less money on engineers and supplies. So progress theoretically might be slower, might be faster, or what it is they spent a lot of their capital intensive stuff back in 2023, which is like the mold for the bank and things like that. Those things are very capital intensive. They've spent that already, and now they're just focused on building these PI vehicles. So that just takes less money and less people to do.
Well, that reminds me, they need to focus on buying the plant equipment for 13 workstations so they can build at least one production vehicle. That is far more expensive than the molds that he talks of, that he says was the reason why they had such a big spend. They've got a massive spend ahead of them, far greater than what has been behind. Then you can add to that the inventory, where there is almost no inventory in Carlsbad. They need a massive spend on inventory after they've spent on plant equipment. So that means that massive outlay is going to be close to doubled. Why doesn't the cretin see these things? Why does he just run through figures in a way that looks a little better for APTERA?
So, anyways, what we know is their burn rate is now $13 million per 6 months. It used to be $30 million per 6 months. So if you put this together, they have about $18 million on hand, and their burn rate currently is about $13 million per 6 months. So if you look at that $18 million cash on hand, $13 million per 6 months, you were looking at about a 7 to 8 month runway. So they have an 8-month runway here before they run out of cash. That's provided they don't raise more money. Of course, they're raising more money through this U.S. capital convertible note offering. All right, so let's look at what they're saying about that. So currently, we're relying on issuing common stock to fund our operations and capital needs. We are also in the process of a best efforts convertible note offering seeking to raise up to $16 million. We anticipate our cash on hand combined with proceeds from this offering and potential future stock offerings will be sufficient to cover our cash needs for the next 12 months. So they're saying that they believe they have enough money on hand, plus they feel confident in their fundraising ability to go for at least another year.
But it's very interesting that what they say is just, we hope to get $60 million from USCG, but don't say how much they have got from USCG since the convertible note offering began. As far as I'm aware, it hasn't been any more than $200,000 thereabouts.
The other interesting thing I saw here is, however, there is no assurance that we'll successfully raise the $60 million through the convertible note offering. If we cannot raise sufficient capital through this offering, we may need to pursue other financing options such as debt or additional equity. There's no guarantee that such financing will be available on favorable terms or at all. If we're unable to secure accurate funding, we will have to reduce investment in product development or significantly curtail our operations. These actions could materially adversely affect our business and financial outlook. That's basically saying if this fundraising, this convertible note offering fails, they're in a bad place.
Why didn't they also say that they have already got all the money required to make the 16 PI builds plus another 50 production vehicles? Why is that missing from the SEC report? Haven't they said that they're good until they've made 50 production vehicles?
They're in a bad place. So they need this convertible note offering to succeed. And then if we're successful in raising 60 million capital in the first half of 2024, so this is the part I thought was interesting. So they're saying if we're successful raising $60 million in the first half of 2024, now we know the first half of 2024 is already over.
Looks to me like that word says second, not first.
We're into October of 2024, and I would guess they have not raised the 60 million yet. We don't know what the status of this convertible note offering is. We do know they made their first sale back in August because there was an SEC thing of $200,000. So they've sold, their first sale was $200,000 of the 60 million. They're somewhere between 60 million and 200,000. I just don't know where they are, and neither does anyone else that's not in APTERA. None of us out in the community know about it because we haven't been told. But they're saying if they're successful raising in the first half, our first estimated deliveries of pre-orders will be in 2025.
They report that it will be in 2025, which they can do on the 31st of December 2025. This is very different to what they tell people when they're spinning the snake oil. They say Q1 by the end of it. The end of Q1 2025 is when they will have between 10 and 20 silly trikes sold to people. The end of March and the end of December are 9 months apart, and this is deceptive in the least.
So this makes me think that the first deliveries of pre-orders in 2025 may or may not happen because this has not happened. The 60 million has not been raised in the second half of 2024. Okay, so it's the second half of 2024. So they have like 2-3 more months for them to close this out so that these deliveries will happen in 2025. So that's going to be something very interesting for us to watch out for. Are they going to be able to finish this convertible note offering by the end of this year to get enough funding to have these pre-orders delivered in 2025? Currently, I think they're saying first half of 2025 will be the first deliveries. We know that things are always going to take longer than they expect and longer than we hope for. So we just have to be patient. The issue is that the longer things take and the more roadblocks they run into, the less progress there is, which makes less investment dollars come in.
It also says we have approximately 48,000 pre-orders. More recently, I've heard that they have reached 50,000 pre-orders, which is a 2,000 discrepancy. But for a company who is reporting, they should not approximate how many pre-orders they have. They should give the precise number at the time that they wrote this sentence. They should say, as of June 30th, 2024, we have precisely this many pre-orders. Because what really is approximately 48,000? They could have had 3,000 cancel and still say it approximates the 48,000 they once had.
Because investors want to see progress. They want to see rapid forward progress to show that we're gonna get to a saleable product, so they can make a return on their investment. So currently, APTERA is showing forward progress. It's not as fast as we would like. It's definitely not as fast as they would like. But hopefully, it's enough that large investors see it as a good investment, and they put money into this thing, and we can bring this thing to production.
I've read the first 40 comments, and their loyal, gullible fanboys are saying what a good job the cretin has done on this. But it is horrendous. He's finished off once again with a great positive outlook. And I don't believe that this SEC report says anything to make it anywhere near as positive as he has said. But I do believe it does a great job of what APTERA Motors probably wants most from him. I believe that he is setting them up for people believing that they tried and just ran out of money. He's setting them up for that excuse. And that's the excuse they wanted back in 2005 when they first got the idea, and it worked in 2011. And they want it to work again. Unfortunately, people were a little bit more savvy when they restarted in 2019, and it looked like there was this chance that maybe the excuse would not be accepted this time. Well, we're out of money again. Everyone will accept that. But no, maybe it won't be accepted this time. And so they're being extra careful, doing a better job of making it seem like they're trying hard to make something that works, and making it seem like money is the reason why they're going to fail. I'm pretty sure they know they have something that doesn't work at all. It's not fit for purpose. It will fail if it gets in the hands of customers. They know it for sure, but they just have to be more careful this time. And they're even playing the cretin to their advantage. He's selling the notion that it's all good, except the money's not coming in so well. I had a feeling that Jan Burlington or somebody, who was expert in Ponzi schemes, was employed as a financial officer for a time to teach them not how to do the financing that much better, but how to avoid detection. It was a short stint, and she got out of there quickly when APTERA were looking like suing APTERA. Their chief marketing officer, Sarah Hardwick, jumped ship as well. I believe there's a lot more behind the scenes than meets the eye, and losing money and going broke is the best outcome that they could hope for. And so they play the cretin, and he's led by the nose because he doesn't have a brain in his head to see the big picture. Another thing that's completely missing from this, well, I haven't looked at anything, I've just seen the screen fly by as fast as the cretin can run it. But in this video, what is missing is any mention in the SEC report of when an IPO is coming. If I were running the SEC, I would be investigating them on the basis of how weak their reporting is.
All right, so that is what we see in the latest SEC filing. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.
Well, that's all from me. Intelligent comments welcome. Bye for now. Stay safe.